Hi guys, I'm uploading the video from my aunt and uncle's murder that was on TV, and at like 20 something minutes my camera shut off for some reason. I have no idea why, but I don't have the testimony of the girlfriend. I apologize, I'm so sorry, and I think there's something else in there that I lost too. I don't know. But just a forewarning, there are crime scene photos that I never expected to see. It's graphic. So, and I could just not even imagine how my cousin, I cannot even imagine. But I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy. And we're talking throughout the video, so you're going to be hearing us in the background talking.
Okay, 1634 by my watch. You got date and time on that? I have 1634 here too. Male subject. He does have
No way, really?
upper shoulder area. Female victim's hands. There is
No
morbidity
fucking
present.
way.
I'll tell you, man.
No weapon.
And your aunt.
Oh, I didn't see those.
She was wearing something red.
Looks like a nice little town.
I didn't realize how rural it is. I'm in Prowers County, Colorado with my old buddy Abby Avedondolo, and we're looking into the 1991 cold case double murder of Darlene and Curly Colbert. It's kind of hard to think of having two sweeter victims. Curly is 70 years old, and Darlene's 51, trying to enter their golden years and take it easy. Who in the hell thinks that your life can end up that way?
You work at the VFW. It's 1:40 in the afternoon. You think you'd be safe there?
Darlene and Curly were shot dead in the local VFW hall, a club and bar dedicated to veterans of foreign wars. The cash register was open and money was stolen, making this a robbery homicide.
The challenge on this one is we get so accustomed to all of the neat electronic information we can put together and making a murder case, cell phone records, text messages. This is good old-fashioned police work here of figuring out who did it based on statements and based on real hard physical evidence left at the scene.
Shell casings were recovered and helped identify the murder weapon, but that weapon was reported missing, and we know that there was more than one person that could have fired it.
I went home to Blessing last week to check on my dad. And Blessing is the American Legion, not the VFW. So we all got together at the American Legion and played poker last Wednesday night. Everybody grew up together. Everyone knows everything about everybody's life. I think that's why we can work this case. It's in a town small enough where everybody knows everybody because of the VFW connection, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
This case really kind of gets me because Darlene and Curly remind me so much of my people back home. And it's been 27 years, so if we don't act pretty soon, this case is going to start losing witnesses and or their memories, so it's time for us to act. You like this one, right?
I do like this one.
Why do all y'all cops like robbery murders the best?
When somebody sticks a gun in your face to take your money or to take your valuables, and then they kill you, is such a personal attack on that individual.
Hello, I'm Kelly.
Sam.
Nice to meet you.
And Mike.
Hey, Mike, nice to meet you, sir.
How long have you been the sheriff?
This will be my 4th year.
You're so young.
I don't know about that.
Wow. So, Prowers County borders Kansas.
Yes.
How many murders?
You know, they're few and far between. That's kind of why we tried to organize some help.
All right, let's get started.
Alrighty, that works.
We're following you, sir.
Thank you. This case has kind of always haunted this community, mainly due to the fact that it was some good, wholesome people that were killed. We owe it to not just the families, but the community as well to try and get an answer for what happened.
Guys, let's start with putting pictures up of our sweet victims. Abby, you're gonna love this. Look at that.
Oh, man. It looks like the kind of picture you get when you buy a frame. Just friendly looking.
It does, huh?
You said they had just recently moved here?
Yeah, they'd only been managing the bar for like a month at that time. From everybody I've heard from, they were good-hearted people.
just come to the community 2 years prior, being only employed as volunteers for the VFW in their golden years to where they should be retired, enjoying life, and they're still wanting to help people.
So they were going to run the case down to us?
On August 1st,
Probably.
1991, a customer had arrived
Not
at
at
the
the time.
VFW a short time after 2 p.m. Tried to get in the front door, couldn't get in that way, so she went around to the north door of the building. It was locked, but she could see through the screen, at which time she saw a man down on the floor. She then made a phone call. Officers responded, found both Darlene and Robert Curly Colbert deceased on the floor behind the bar. Both had been shot twice, and it appeared to be a robbery and a homicide.
The murderer stole $800 from the cash register, but left a bank bag on the bar that contained an additional $80, suggesting that they were sloppy, in a hurry, or both.
The alarm had been turned off at 1:41 p.m. The cash register had been turned on at 1:47 p.m.
And they're opening at 2 in the afternoon.
Correct.
So what kind of crowd goes to the VFW at 2 in the afternoon?
The little cliques that always met out there played pool and drank beer there.
What's the chance of a stranger coming in to the VFW?
They would have had to have been let in. You could buzz a buzzer on the door and tell them who you were, and then they could hit a button, then you could come in.
You can't just slink into this bar.
No.
Talk about the weapon.
Shell casings, of course, recovered at the scene. It was found later that the murder weapon was a .380 caliber handgun. Later, after the newspaper came out with the caliber of handgun, a man, Sean Lyerly, discovered that his .380 handgun was missing. He came to the sheriff's office to report that .380 missing. Sean's dad also was with them, and he retained some of the fired casings he had. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation's laboratory analyzed the cartridge cases, determined that it was the same .380 that they were reporting stolen that was also the murder weapon.
Cordell Brown from the Colorado Bureau of Investigations matched the shell casings recovered at the scene to Sean Lyerly's casings from his reportedly stolen .380, thus identifying the murder weapon. So the question has always been, okay, well, who all had access to that murder weapon? Let's start with Mr. Sean Lyerly, member of the VFW, right?
I was going to say, he's a regular there.
All
I'm
right,
not sure
regular.
That he had access to the pistol.
It's actually his pistol, right?
Yes.
His .380. Okay, let's break down the .380. So on August the
Fifth.
5th,
He reports it stolen.
he and Dad.
Yep.
Now, how do we get to the casings?
Dad brings the casings in.
We got to answer the question, why would the dad turn over those casings? Bringing in the spent casings put Sean Lyerly in the suspect pool. What we don't know is whether his dad put Sean in the middle of all this because his dad believed he was truly innocent, or if he suspected he was somehow involved. You don't turn over your kids, and that's what he did here. As for Sean claiming his gun was stolen, that could be the truth, or that could just be his attempt to distance himself from that weapon. Sean supposedly does have an alibi working at a local grocery store at that time, but the sheriff's department is going to need to check that out. What do we think happens as far as how it gets stolen?
They're blaming all of the people that are coming over for traffic. They have just kind of an open door policy there. Sean described his house as a party scene with frequent visitors passing through his room and illegal drugs sometimes being sold by his roommate or other suspect, Robbie Philbeck.
Okay, Robert Philbeck. We know at this time his roommate is Sean Lyerly. How do we want to start with Robert's connection to Curly and Darlene in our VFW?
He's a regular as well.
Okay.
He knew the Colberts. His father lived across the street from him.
Okay, so he knew the victims through the bar. He knew the victims through his dad.
He was trusted.
He has enough of a relationship with the victims that they'll let him in the door while they're counting money.
Why the quick
Well,
need for money?
he lost his job at the airport.
They get tired of being burglarized.
Yeah.
Shortly before the murders, Robbie Philbeck was fired from his job at the airport for suspicion of burglarizing the office, where money was stolen. He was eventually caught and convicted of that crime, but did he escalate to murder?
That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
So we're going to go meet Cindy, Darlene's daughter.
She was one of the few people I reached out to when I first took office. I was still working on the case, and I wanted her to know that we hadn't forgot about it. Obviously, losing both parents at the same time, it just kind of haunted her.
I don't think any of us could ever understand how Cindy could have dealt with losing both of her parents all those years ago. Hello? We're eager to meet with her and tell her that we're excited to look into her case and to see if she can tell us anything new about Curly and Darlene. How old were you when this happened?
31.
31.
I was 7 years old when they got married. Being in Buena Vista, they lived for the VFW. They would open it up and take care of everybody and feed everybody.
Why such involvement in the VFW?
My dad was a vet, very proud. He lived for the red, white, and blue.
They called him Curly because his
He had
hair?
curly hair.
Okay. What was he like?
He come off as gruff, but he was just a big teddy bear. He was my stepdad.
I noticed you called him Dad, though.
Yep, he was my dad.
What was your mom like?
She never had a bad word to say about anybody. She was a wonderful, wonderful lady.
Crazy about Curly?
Crazy about my dad, yeah.
And
crazy about me.
Sure.
She was just a good lady.
She was my best friend. She was my everything. She was always happy. I'll never forget the day I got home and there was a message from my grandma. Right away I knew something was wrong when I just heard her voice on the answering machine. I called her and she told me that they were murdered. They just wanted it all be a bad dream and not be true. We have a son that never got to meet his grandparents, and that was my mom's dream, was to have a grandson. There's not a day goes by that I don't think about him and pray that justice is served.
You meet victims' families, and typically they've lost one person, and Cindy lost her mom and her dad, so she lost her whole world. She had to bury them both, raise her children without them. If this doesn't get you fired up to solve the case, nothing can.
You tell us a lot about the suspect, especially how close you had to be to kill those two people. And what way did they leave?
We're headed to the VFW hall where Curly and Darlene Colbert were murdered in 1991, so we can take a look at the crime scene. You got us access, huh?
They did get you access.
Must be somebody important. Visiting a crime scene can sometimes be priceless in trying to figure out how a crime really happened.
This would have been the entrance door that we talked about. You can see that they had the card access, or you could push the buzzer. The inside has changed.
Wait, what is it on?
This is new. Our old bar was on this wall. None of this is here. Where I'm standing would probably be behind the bar. Kind of where maybe the edge of this bar is the outer side of the bar at that time. Bar stool number 6 was slightly out away from the bar, so there's an indication that possibly somebody was sitting at that.
And you figure that the suspect has to make the victims feel comfortable. Sitting down at the bar would indicate that, hey, I'm here to have a drink.
And number 6 is directly in front of what on the other side of the bar?
The cash register that would have been in this area over here.
Our victims get here, and then the first thing they do, I mean, within 5-6 minutes, getting the cash registers out.
We did have the bank bag on the bar, so they could have been taking what was made that week and getting ready to take it to the bank for deposit.
Sure, take the gun and go be the shooter and walk us through just exactly how you think it happened. So you're sitting at the bar stool, and where do you think Darlene is?
She's probably slightly in front of me, and he's probably about where Mike is now.
Curly's right there.
I'm not sure which one got shot first. I think they were probably rapid succession.
Okay.
Bang,
So she drops, and then you shoot Curly.
bang.
Then what do?
Then I come around the end of the bar. He might have got that second round while I was still at the front of the bar.
Okay.
And then she gets the shot to the head. Bang.
And they both die right here beside each other.
Yep.
Why would they put
All murders are awful, but there's something especially tragic about
It's a
Curly
big
and
gun.
Darlene being gunned down in their golden years, especially in a place that they love,
Stand there for a second. I want to get onto the other side.
and by somebody they probably knew and trusted.
I'm basically shooting you from here.
They
We are this
remodeled it.
close. Bang, bang, and then come around the other side and finish both of you off. I would be interested in timing how long. You got the
So
stopwatch?
you want? Yep.
You tell me when.
Go.
Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Pick up the cash. and probably running at this point, and out the door. Stop.
30 seconds.
Keep in mind, though, you don't have to make that angle. You have a straight angle.
Across.
Straight
So
across.
less than 30 seconds.
Way less than 1 minute.
Our suspect's time concern was getting that money and getting out before the first patron showed up at 2 o'clock. This is somebody who has, at that moment, made up their mind, and it's not just to rob them, it's to get rid of the witnesses. And that is ice cold.
Curly and Darlene's killer brutally killed them and then dashed out. And though there were no witnesses or security cameras, other activity at the hall might hold a clue to who the culprit is.
We had an attempted burglary 4 nights before. The door handle was knocked off, and then the alarm went off.
He got in or he didn't get in?
Well, the door was pried open, but nothing was taken.
Just 4 days before the murder, somebody tried to unsuccessfully burglarize the VFW hall, smashing the doorknobs the same way Robbie Philbeck did when he burglarized the airport weeks earlier. So had Robbie made an attempt to burglarize the VFW? And if he did, when he failed, did he return to do it again with a gun? We always learn something, huh?
Always.
Wasn't it a couple days when we did? We could have found that gun at what's-his-face's in there.
No, they were
How long
really.
a drive is that?
About 12 hours.
Dang.
I'm just thinking
Back in
about everything
1991, Jeff Bakosh was the first one through the door at the VFW after
hope they make
Curly
an
and
arrest
Darlene's
tonight.
bodies were discovered.
1634 by my
Are they
watch. You
still
got date
here?
and time on that.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
What a drive. He continued with this investigation and probably knew this case better than anyone before he moved out of state. He's generously agreed to travel all the way from Montana today to meet with us. Just from reading the report, we kind of all got a feeling you're a little invested in this case.
A little bit.
Did you know the victims?
Not the time. Do now.
So it's a huge thing. It's the biggest news in town when this happens. And go ahead with what happens next.
Word gets out that we're looking for a 380 automatic. Sean Lyerly had borrowed a 380 from his mom. He got looking for it. He couldn't find it.
So you went over to Sean and Robbie's house then looking for the 380.
Yeah. Sean was going nuts. He was in a panic. My 380's gone. And Rob said, just be careful. My shotgun, it's in the case. It's loaded over there. Case is leaning in the corner. Someone picks up the case and says, your gun's gone. And then Rob goes, oh, my gun's gone too. So then they reported them both stolen. At that point, Sean and Robbie now become suspects.
What do you do next?
We did a surprise interview with him. Robbie is sitting there and small talk, and I say, hey, why don't you let me search your vehicle? He says, yeah, no problem. He says, I got my dad's birthday present and a card. Let me run it over the house. I said, it takes a few minutes. Let's just get it done.
Was the birthday present or card there?
No birthday present, no card. So we went in there. I said, where's the keys to your trunk? Because I had lost those 3 months ago. So immediately, senses go off, and I go, I gotta get in that trunk. So I got in the back seat, pushed, and flipped open the back seat. And that shotgun barrel's pointing right out the side there.
Wow.
And I go, what? And I pulled out. He said, that's my shotgun. Somebody's trying to set me up. And it's like, really?
What else is in the trunk?
There's a white leather fringe coat, female's fringe coat, and a bank bag. At that point, he fesses up to the burglaries that happened at the airport.
Weeks earlier, Robbie had been fired from his airport job after being suspected of stealing. When Bakosh spotted the airport money bag, Robbie confessed. The woman's coat belonged to Sean's sister, and later it was determined that coat was placed in the trunk the day after the murders, proving that Robbie had lied to Bakosh about not having access to his own trunk.
So then we start with the list of who could have stolen the 380. They were coming up with all kinds of names of people that were in and out of the apartment.
And this is all the dope-connected people?
Yep. Tons of leads, tons of follow-up, and nothing was going anywhere. I fought tooth and nail to stay totally objective and not get tunnel vision and focus on Robbie. But there is nobody that's got a smoking gun on this. But yeah, no reason to kill those people for a simple robbery.
That's right. There's only one reason to kill those people, so they can't say who did it.
Nope, there he is right there.
It's on.
Mr. Lolly right here?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's his car.
Yep. We were just going to go by your house, and we saw you. I'm like, oh, there goes Mr. Lowerly.
Well, again, I hear you're opening the case again.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Lee Lyerly
This
is
isn't
the
in
father of our
Lamar.
suspect,
Yeah,
Sean,
Oh, it is?
and he made a huge contribution to the case when he turned over those shell casings. After reading in the newspaper about the type of gun used in the 1991 murders of Curly and Darlene.
This was the weirdest thing I ever saw in my life. And I didn't like
Lee Lyerly was...
In doing so, Lee Lyerly put his own son in jeopardy because the gun turned out to be the murder weapon, and Sean Lyerly was the last person in possession of it. So when you hear that a .380 is what's used to kill 2 people, what'd you think?
I had one of those. I left that gun with my ex-wife, and I called her and I said, "Do you still have that gun?" She said, "No." I gave it to Sean. So I called Sean. He says, "I don't know where it is." I was upset that he couldn't find it, and he looked all over that house and never could find it. I had some spent cartridges, so I took them down and said, "I don't know if this is a gun. Let's check it."
Why'd you do that?
Why did I do that? Why wouldn't I do that?
A lot of people wouldn't. You're a very righteous man.
So hearing that, this is the weapon. Do you call Sean? Do you say, "Hey, where the hell did this gun go?" Or
No, I mean, we had talked about it before that, and when he found that it was gone, he told me he didn't know where it went. End of conversation.
It sounds like Lee never suspected that his son could be responsible for these murders, but it also sounds like Sean didn't have much choice in coming forward either.
I want to get it solved just like everybody else does. We don't have too many things like that happen in this community, and I don't want to see it again.
right here with this white car.
Somebody's home. The Sheriff's Department believes that Curly and Darlene were killed between 1:41 p.m. when the VFW door was first accessed and 2 o'clock when the bar typically opened. Sean Lyerly claimed that he was working at the time, while his roommate Robbie Philbeck claimed to have been with his girlfriend Shanna, and then he visited with a friend before going to his parents' house where he did laundry at about 2 o'clock.
Hi, how are you?
I just throw the dog outside.
Oh, that's okay.
Robbie's mother, Nikki Philbeck, was in touch with him that day, and we want to find out what she knows. When did y'all all realize that your neighbors were the ones that had been killed at the VFW?
He may have told me that something was going on from the scandal, that the cops was running.
Robbie may have?
May have, because the scanner was at the house.
But you didn't know what happened until you got home.
Yeah.
What did Robbie say where he was during the time everything happened?
He just, was home. He got up and come to do laundry.
So straight from his house to your house to do laundry, okay? What does Robbie tell you about what he thinks happened?
You don't talk about it. We don't talk about it.
You don't talk about it.
He told me he didn't do it, and that's the way we do it.
Did Robbie ever tell you that he thought Lyerly had something to do with it?
No, but I always figured there was something going on.
Just like Sean's father, Robbie's mom seems to be convinced of her son's innocence.
I wish you'd find out who really did it.
Although she seems less certain about Sean.
It's just they would never make a fucking show on them. You think so?
You think we should try and catch him before he comes back?
Hell yes. One of our suspects, Sean Lyerly, possessed a murder weapon and reported it stolen only after Curly and Darlene were killed. We want to get his first-hand account of how the gun disappeared and what he did that day.
About what time did you realize, I guess, maybe that the gun was kind of gone?
It was after the fact. It was when it came out in the paper that it was a 380 ANT, and it's like, oh, I had one of those. And I went to look for it, and it wasn't there. He had to go through my bedroom to get
Why
to the
would you
bathroom.
go and look?
I'm
There's a lot of
assuming that
people who
somebody,
have one of those
whoever
guns,
company
though. Really?
was over there, was walking through there.
You didn't
just
do it.
took
Why would you
Was
go
there
look
anything
for it?
else taken from your house?
Nope.
Just that pistol?
Yep.
Can you recall any time that Robbie shot that gun?
No. I will tell you one thing that was kind of odd. That
Can you
day
throw
I
it
was
back on
working
Robbie?
at
Watch.
County Market on some coolers there. And I get a page over the intercom, and it was Rob saying, hey, let's go out to the VFW. And it was that day.
See, I fucking knew it.
And
Do you remember about what time that phone call came in?
it was early afternoon, I would say. 1 to 3,
Somewhere in there. So what was that conversation?
Hey, let's go have a beer later. It's like, okay, well, right now I'm working. I can't.
How many times had he called you like that before that time?
Never.
That was the first time?
Yeah.
That was on the day of that the murder occurred?
Yeah.
Sean confirmed his alibi of being at work on the day of the murders. But more striking is his account of this coincidental phone call from Robbie. Could Robbie have been trying to create an alibi or confirm Sean's whereabouts so he knew the gun was free for the taking? Or could Sean be lying about the call in order to shift blame to Robbie?
After it happened, did you ever think that maybe Rob's the one that took your 380?
Of course. Yeah, he always had that. I mean, he was in the house. He had the opportunity.
Did you ever ask him straight up, did you do it?
Many times.
What'd you say?
No, I wouldn't steal from you.
Did you ever say, hey man, this dude was stealing stuff back then. He had a drug problem.
Well, I didn't know he was stealing anything until
afterwards?
Until after the fact, yes. For some reason, I just didn't feel he took it. You know, when you start adding up all the other stuff, well, then it goes, well, it's possible now.
He looks kind of nervous.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Of course, he's probably got a big old camera sitting facing him too, so.
Yeah.
This will be it.
We've heard a lot this week about Robbie Philbeck and want to press him about his actions on the day of the murder. Robbie now lives in Missouri, so we're traveling from Colorado to try and meet him, hoping to catch him at work at the start of his day.
I was wondering if Robbie Philbeck was in by any chance.
I'd be surprised to see Robbie today.
Unfortunately, Robbie took the day off. It's always nice getting someone at work. They're going to be comfortable there, but they're not going to be as comfortable as they would be at home. We didn't get that opportunity. I feel a little cheated on that.
That's Rob. Hey, Rob, it's Sheriff Zordell. We came out to visit with you. We're still kind of been looking in on the VFW stuff.
I don't have anything to hide, Sam. I'm going to be honest with you. I had nothing to do with that murder. I was messing around with coke with a bunch of other guys, and that was it.
Okay.
You know, back then I tried to help. I was very honest and front. I love ended up getting into trouble, you know.
He's kind of defensive.
I just don't trust you guys, honestly. I'd rather have a lawyer present.
All right.
And if you got a arrest warrant for me, I'll go turn myself in there in Gallatin and bring my lawyer with me.
No, I don't have a arrest warrant for you. I just came to talk.
Would you feel comfortable if
We
you
got
just spoke on the
defensive,
phone?
didn't we?
I mean, without talking to us in person?
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer questions.
While I always prefer to interview a suspect in person, we at least catch a break and Robbie agrees to talk to us over the phone.
You get along pretty good with Shauna now?
Yeah, fair.
Back when this happened, you were at the house and she came by, I guess like during a lunch break, and you guys like fell asleep?
She woke me up, we fooled around, then she had to go back to work. I mean, I took a shower afterwards, went by Roars, and went to my mom and dad's.
How well do you remember that day? Like, when you heard about the homicides at the VFW?
When I was at my folks' house, I called my mother and told her I was doing laundry over there, and she's the one who told me about it. And then I called Sean. And Sam and I was usually in the afternoons.
Funny, his mom said
out there somewhere around local, shoot pool cricket. Was going to do it that day out at VFW that afternoon when he got done working.
Robbie's mother claims to have heard of the murders from Robbie or her husband, not vice versa. Robbie confirms his call to Sean, though he claims to have called for the opposite reason, to change their destination from the VFW.
You guys were friends, though, when this whole tragedy at the VFW happened, is that right?
Yeah, we were roommates. It was more of a party house, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of people in and out. And we worked during the day and we partied at night.
Investigators never recovered the murder weapon, or DNA, or fingerprints on the shell casings found at the scene. But Robbie doesn't know that. We want to see how he reacts when we imply we have more evidence than we actually do.
Did you ever handle that pistol?
Sean's?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure I did. Sean and I went out just driving around the country one time and was just shooting that gun and another pistol I had.
This is an important question. Would your hands have touched shell casings associated with that pistol?
Well, I'm sure they could have when we was shooting it that day.
What day was that?
It was long before, obviously, the murders. I'd say at least 2 weeks or so.
Robbie admits to handling the 380, even though Sean insists that Robbie never handled that gun.
You do recall touching it, though?
Oh, yeah.
It makes you wonder if Robbie fell for our bluff.
And everything you told us is the God's honest truth. You were honest with them way back, and you're honest with us right now.
It's absolutely true.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Robbie.
Feel like
I didn't realize that was a.
We found all the witnesses. Y'all talked to Sean Lyerly and got to meet him face to face. You went all the way to Missouri and talked to Robbie Philbeck. We've had a full week of interviews and investigation, and now it's time for us to review everything that we've uncovered. So we got Mr. Sean Lyerly sitting up here on this board, and he's been in the middle of this case for 27 years. Sean Lyerly made our suspect list mainly because his gun is the murder weapon. But his story has never changed. His alibi is confirmed, and he has always been forthcoming and cooperative with the investigation.
I don't feel that he needs to be on that board any longer.
You ready to clear him?
I am.
Palacios, you ready to clear him?
Yes, ma'am.
Abby?
Oh, heck yes. We interviewed an innocent man.
Sean Lyerly comes off the board once and forevermore. It's a satisfying feeling to clear somebody who doesn't deserve to be a suspect and deserves to be recognized for his good intentions. Now let's focus on what you think we have today with Robbie
Look, they had
Philbeck.
something blurred
They
out
have
on the board.
similar MOs to things that he's already pled guilty to.
We know that Robbie is a convicted thief responsible for burglarizing the airport by smashing the doorknob, the same tactic used during the attempted break-in days before Carly and Darlene's murders. What's your favorite part?
Robbie becoming a victim in this. That when the .380 pistol is missing, oh, guess what? My shotgun is missing as well.
So I got in the back seat, pushed, and flipped open the back, and that shotgun barrel's pointing right out the side. And Rob goes, "Somebody's trying to set me up."
He injects a lie.
Which is his way of getting out of being the suspect who took the pistol.
We know it doesn't take very long to have committed the murders and stole the money.
Bang, 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 bang. Pick up the cash, so less than 30 seconds.
From the time that the alarm was disabled and the registers were turned on, you still had plenty of time to commit the crime and get back to his mother's residence.
Even with the VFW in Rory's house, he would have made it here in front of people before 2 o'clock.
His only alibi starts up there.
We also have the unprecedented phone call that he made to Sean Lyerly the afternoon of the murder.
How many times had he called you like that before that time?
Never.
His access to the murder weapon, his lies about using the murder weapon, his criminal history.
I slept with a gun by my bed every night because I thought he was going to kill me.
Why?
Because I was the only one turning state's evidence.
And all the lies he told witnesses and the sheriff's department all point toward Robbie Philbeck, and it's enough to present to the DA. Sheriff, when you and Palacios visit your DA, Josh Vogel, today, what's your request going to be?
2 counts of first-degree murder against Robert Philbeck.
All right, y'all go, man, and call us as soon as you get through so we can hear the word. We drove by last night to check on you and saw your truck there with the prosecutors. Man, you were there for over 4 hours.
Here.
The sheriff made his case to the district attorney. I think that the main thing is she has you on her side. The DA's response is not good news. The conversation we now need to have with Cindy and her husband, Bob, is not one that we're looking forward to. Good morning.
Good morning.
I met with the DA about 6 o'clock last night. I presented the case to him, and he doesn't feel that I've met a requirement that he needs to move forward.
We're very frustrated, and I wish I could tell you that this doesn't happen on a lot of our cases, but it does.
Thank you for all your hard work.
You're welcome. Sorry I didn't have better news. He does admit that the case has gotten better, and I will follow up on whatever he feels needs followed up on.
You worked your ass off, and I appreciate it.
When you come into somebody's life like Cindy's, and the hope is to finally bring them justice, and then you can't, it's really hard. This is what I'll also tell you. A DA doesn't get to sit behind his glass doors and only have the sheriff pounding on him. You can pound on him too. You can call his office. You can say, I am the person who lost my mother and my father. I do not understand. And let him know that you're going to keep calling. It's going to make him mad.
Oh, well. If he throws me in jail, will you let me out?
If I were you, I'd be banging on the door.
Can I go down there today?
It's the DA, Vogel.
Yes, ma'am, you can.
I'm going to go there when we leave. For 27 years, I've kept my mouth shut. I've just listened and listened, and I'm not going to keep it shut anymore. Doggone it, I'm going to start knocking on doors and going to offices and making phone calls, and I'm going to get family and friends to do the same. This district attorney is going to know who Cindy Bernhardt is. I needed this push. Thank you.
Good luck. I want to know what happens. I've seen cases where the prosecutors reject it at first. And I've seen those same cases where the family takes up the flag and marches on and starts trumpeting their own cause, and they never give up. And I've seen it work.